everyone. Welcome again to Elevating Your Life. Oh, it's going to be fantastic today. I am really excited to share today's guest. We have with us Ron Pevny. He is the founder and director of the Center for Conscious Eldering. He received his master's degree in integral counseling and psychotherapy from the California Institute of Integral Studies. He is a certified Saging leader with Saging International and is a member of their coordinating circle. He is also active in the Life Planning Network and is a contributor to Second Journey. He conducts workshops across the country, including at Earthrise and Ions Retreat Center. He is the author of this fantastic book, Conscious Living, Conscious Aging. I absolutely loved it, Ron. I loved it. So first off, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Paula.
Oh, and this is such an amazing topic. It really is. It's something that each and every one of us experience, our aging. So first off, do you want to share any more of your background or why you decided to write this book?
Well, my background, I guess I would say that my calling, which I've been aware of since I was 30 years old, I'm in my mid 70s now, has been to help people move through life transitions. I discovered that on a personal vision quest. I got trained as one of the first of the contemporary vision quest guides. I had an organization that offered vision quests. And I've got the most fulfillment and satisfaction and sense of aliveness when I help people who are struggling with moving through a transition to do it gracefully and to grow by doing it. And I've known that for a long, long time. It was only about the year 2001, and I was in my early 50s, that I began to become aware that while I was helping people move through transitions using wilderness rites of passage and other programs that I designed, that there really wasn't anything to help people move through that big transition, and it's a biggie, from midlife adulthood into elderhood. And I began to realize that I was moving into elderhood. I was feeling it. I was knowing it. I couldn't deny it anymore. And so, with the help of a couple of wise elder partners who were wiser and more elder than me, we created the first Choosing Conscious Elderhood retreats. And then my partners gradually aged out of it and passed the torch to me. And I began to offer these retreats as I continued to do around the country and some other countries. And I saw how deeply they touch people. But I realized that on a retreat, you have 12, 13, 14 participants. And I saw that there was such a yearning for a positive vision of what aging can be, because we live in a society and in a world that doesn't have any kind of a positive vision, really. And so I decided that I needed to put together some of what I had learned, what I had shared on retreats, what I had shared in a bunch of shorter articles that I had written into a book. And it turns out that as I was contemplating this, Beyond Words Publishing called me from out of the blue back in 2012 and said, there's this whole growing phenomenon called conscious aging. We'd like to do a book on that. We've learned about you. Would you write a book for us? How often does that happen that a publisher calls you?
Wow.
And
I've
so
never heard that.
I got over my doubts and reticence. Didn't think I was a good enough writer, and I wrote a book. I'm so glad I did. And I'm not a best-selling author, but I hear from people around the world, Paula, that what I have written is something meaningful to them because they're looking for an empowering vision for their aging.
Yes, yes. And the beautiful messages in this book, Ron. And I love, the mention of, it's easy for us to see aging as we're going down. We're going down. When we can see it as, aiming, would you say, to something new, something we can grow? For example, let's say we retire from our work. Well, we, maybe I have a passion for gardening. Maybe I have a passion for this or helping. I can do that. So really it can be a positive thing, would you say?
Oh, it definitely can, on so many levels. On one level, it is a reality, Paula, that as we age, we are going to lose certain physical abilities, the things we used to do, no matter how hard we try to keep ourselves fit. But I think what's kind of built into the human psyche is that as we age and enter our elder years, while some abilities are lost, that's a time when we can deepen to the fullness of our spiritual and our emotional growth. And that replaces the losses or compensates for other losses. And it can be such an incredible time for growth and fulfillment all the way up until our final day. But we have to believe that. And I think we don't have any kind of a vision in our modern world of what it can be like to really grow whole rather than just to grow old. And traditional peoples, have had that forever. And that's why the role of elder was always so critical in societies around the world. We have somehow lost that. And I and others like me are trying to remind our world that, hey, that is as true now as it ever was, but we need to believe it and own it if we're going to somehow grow into a really fulfilled elderhood.
Yes, yes. So what exactly does it mean to age consciously? Please describe that.
Yeah, I guess the opposite of conscious might be just living out of habit for me. And I think so often, and by the time we get to get to be of our senior years, if you will, a lot of habits have grown really strong. Habitual ways of thinking, habitual ways of reacting to things, habitual ways of deciding what's important and what isn't. And so often we don't realize that a lot of those habitual things aren't really, those voices aren't coming from our own authentic self, our own authentic knowing. They are voices that have been implanted in us by our society and our world and our family for so long, but we think they are us. And that's not authentic. And so conscious eldering is very much about becoming increasingly aware of what is our own true authentic voice versus all these other voices. What do we really, really yearn for the most in our precious elder years, as opposed to what the world tells us we should be pursuing?
Oh,
What are the what are those ways of being, often called the shadow, uh, that don't serve us well, that oftentimes we're not even aware? So if we do have visions for a positive elderhood, our shadow, things we're not even aware of, the old baggage isn't going to derail us all the time. Just a couple more. I think becoming increasingly conscious is becoming more and more aware that we are intimately interrelated with all of the human family and with our whole planet. We're not just little isolated silos walking around, and that our well-being really depends upon us recognizing that and acting in ways that support the well-being of those around us. And lastly, I'd say that becoming increasingly conscious means becoming increasingly conscious of the fact that we we are something deeper, essentially something deeper than just our egos and our personalities. We have a spiritual dimension, a spiritual self, call it whatever you will. I don't care what we call it. But that is what's most critical. And the more we're aware of that, the more we're really able to let our inner light shine during what can be difficult years for all of us. And in a world we live in now that has so much darkness going on, we can let our inner light shine so we can be beacons of light as elders in the darkness around us.
Oh, I love that. And would you say it's kind of like thinking about and realizing what kind of message we want our life to be? What kind of message? And with that comes in, what if we have regrets of things we did in our life? And how do we let that go to be more positive in our aging?
Hmm. Well, you just asked two important questions there. Obviously, not just one. Uh,
Mhm.
I believe it is so important that if we're going to leave a legacy, and by legacy, I don't just mean, a chunk of money that we might be fortunate to leave to those who come after us, but it's going to be what we're going to be remembered by, what mark we left in the world. And I think our legacy isn't complete just because we have retired from a career or profession or a job. These 20, 25, 30 years that many of us have after retirement age can be an opportunity to play a big role in shaping the legacy, what we're going to be remembered by. And our descendants, when they look back, how are they going to remember how we lived these years, especially in the kind of times we're in now? Did we live just for ourselves? Or did we live to try to help create a better world so that they, our descendants, can have a decent world to live in? We have all these years where we can focus on how are we going to give our gifts? How are we going to shine our light? How can we find joy and fulfillment as we do that? It's a special time of life. And after retirement, when we don't have all the other obligations, of a career, we have more time to focus on these kind of essential things. And now you asked the question about regret, and I would just say that it takes a lot of inner work and dedication to really grow into what's possible for us as elders. And so, working with things like regret or resentments or old negative stories we carry around that can derail us as we move forward, it has to be focused inner work over a period of time. And my book certainly speaks to ways that inner work can be done. Um, it's not something you just do a podcast or read a book or
Mhm.
go to even a weekend workshop. This kind of inner work of letting go of resentments and regrets and things, it takes some time. It's like gradually peeling the leaves off an artichoke. You're gradually getting rid of a bunch of negative things so that an essence inside that is bright and clear and joyous and vibrant can emerge.
Wow, that's a
I wish
beautiful.
I could give you an easier answer for
Oh,
regret, but I guess I would say one more thing about that. Maybe the short answer.
yes.
If we can reach a point, and it takes some work to reach it, if we can reach a point where we can see the experiences of our lives, the things that have happened to us, the things we have done that, we might have regrets about. If we can see those all as part of an ongoing journey of growth, then they are reframed, they are seen in a whole new light. And so then we can have some gratitude. Well, I might feel sad about something that I have done that I regret. I could say, but I learned something important from that. That's something that is part of the elder wisdom that I have to give, as an elder to the younger people, how to deal with these kind of things. I've learned that I'm not going to do that again. It's really so much about rewriting the story of how we view our experiences. That makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, yes. And there is such an example, with you writing this book and what you're doing and helping people to realize conscious aging. And I mean that's making a difference for so many lives, Ron. I'm just so grateful.
Well, yeah, it is making a difference. And I'm so grateful. And I'll tell you, I'm so grateful because it took me a long time to find my sense of calling, to find the gift that I think I was born to give to the world. And so to be able to give that gift, as I've done through writing and workshops and coaching and other things like that, to be able to give that gift is the most enlivening thing I can possibly think of. And so people say, well, Ron, you're 77. Why haven't you retired? And I say, yeah, on the one hand, I know I need to find a new balance. I need to focus a little bit more on my joy and my inner life and rest than on work. But I say, I can't let go of the work that makes me most alive. I have to do it. My well-being depends upon doing it. And so that's my answer. And I believe, Paula, that for all of us, there is some kind of a gift. It may not be a strong or as clear a sense of calling as I've had. I believe we all have some kind of a gift that we were born with, and it's our opportunity, especially in our elder years when we don't have a bunch of other responsibilities, to find ways to express that particular gift. And that's going to keep us more alive than all the exercise classes and the tofu that we can eat,
Yes.
because purpose is so vitally important to our well-being.
Oh, I so agree with that. That is so, and that is such a powerful message. And to know that each and every one of us has that special something. And, as we get older, doing, discovering what our passion is and what we enjoy and reaching it. I mean, yeah, what that can do in, increasing our positive aging and consciousness.
Yeah.
That's just a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing. In your book, Ron, you talk about something called the Death Lodge practice. Share a little bit about that, please.
Well, I think of all, excuse me, of all the practices that we share in the retreats we do, and that I write about, in some detail in my book, I think the Death Lodge is one that has the biggest impact on a lot of people. And for the bigger context, I guess, an important part of aging consciously is really coming to terms with our past, with forgiveness, with regrets, with all these kind of things that you might call old baggage that so many of us carry into our elder years. And there are a lot of different ways to do this, to do life review work. But the Death Lodge is a really important tool for a lot of people. And I guess to try to take something really complex and make it brief, I would ask your listeners to imagine that you are ideally outside somewhere, because any kind of inner work is empowered by being in nature rather than being inside four walls. And imagine you're in a special little place outside, maybe with some overhanging trees or something, where you kind of feel like you're in a little cocoon. And imagine that while you're there and you enter it, with a lot of reverence, maybe with prayer that you be supported in doing the inner work you're going to be doing there. And then while you're there, imagine that you invite to be with you the spirits of others who have passed on, or maybe some others who are still alive, but there's no way that you're ever going to be able to be in touch with them again. You invite their spirit there. And out of a desire to have completion in that relationship, you have a final conversation with them. You imagine that this could be the last conversation I ever have. What would I want to tell them? And what do I think that their spirit, the best of them, might say to me? And you have this conversation, and for many people, they find that it brings a sense of closure they never imagined that was possible. And whether it's a psychological exercise, or whether people are really getting in touch with the spirits of another, um, I don't know the answer to that. but I can tell you I have seen some of the most magical, unexpected things happen when people have approached this ceremony with real willingness and commitment to bring closure to relationships in their life that they've needed to bring closure to. And so, in essence, that's what the Death Lodge is about.
Oh, that is so awesome. How often do you do retreats and do different things that people can attend?
Well, my Center for Conscious Eldering, Paula, isn't a big organization. It never was intended to be. It's not even a physical center. It is a small band of us, intrepid. We call ourselves teachers of conscious eldering. And these days we offer about 3 week-long choosing conscious elderhood retreats every year. And usually 2 of them are at Ghost Ranch, New Mexico, made famous by Georgia O'Keeffe and her. I mean, that's an incredible, powerful venue. And then another one will be in Ohio or, somewhere else. And then in addition to that, we offer 2 or 3 or 4 weekend workshops. And most often it's when some group contacts us and says, hey, would you offer a workshop for our group of 15 to 20 over a weekend? And then we offer a bunch of 1 day workshops. And these days, one of the gifts of Zoom is I'm invited to do a lot of like hour-and-a-half webinars. I'm invited to have wonderful conversations with people like you, where you can reach so many people. And so we don't do a whole lot, but what we do is meaningful and fulfilling.
Oh, that is so awesome. That is so awesome. Please share your website address so that the audience can get on there and learn more about that
Yeah,
and
and our
everything.
and Paula, our website has a lot of articles, a lot of uh, links to interviews, a lot of wonderful resources, and beautiful, beautiful images that people really find meaningful. It is Center for Conscious Eldering.com. Center, that's CENTER here in the States. Elsewhere, it's TRE. Okay. Center for Conscious Eldering.com.
Oh, I love it.
And they could learn there about how to order my book and learn about our upcoming programs for next year and things like that.
Yes, yes. And I can only imagine how this is just making such a difference for so many people, Ron. I love it. I love it. Such great messages.
Well, Paula, you would be a wonderful participant on one of our retreats, I might just add, as an aside.
I think I may have to come to one. I
I'd love it.
really, really do. I think it would be fantastic. I would love it. I am gonna look into that and just me and a girlfriend are gonna show up.
All right.
And I can give you a real hug.
I'd like that.
Oh, we have about 4 minutes left, Ron. What last messages do you want to leave with everyone today?
Well, I think what feels most important to me to share at this particular point is that the role of elder is critically important in the world we live in now. And we know that there is chaos and there is fear and there's darkness and there's polarization and environmental degradation, all these things that we all know about, and that so many people have pretty much lost hope about. But I believe that if each of us as elders, and this also applies to younger people, but I'm speaking about elders in particular, we've been around long enough, if we have any wisdom at all, that we've learned how to see the bigger picture, at least somewhat, and to see that things aren't always just like they seem, to look beneath surfaces appearances, and to realize that we as elders and we as human beings can make a difference that we might not even imagine, but we have to step out and be willing. I love to use the term shine our light. And it may not be a real bright light. It may not be real visible, but if we're committed to giving our gifts and being of service as best we can, collectively, we're going to shine a light that can dispel the darkness. And while I don't think the future is assured by any means, these are difficult times. If there is indeed hope for a real transformation instead of a total breakdown, it's going to depend upon a lot of us being willing to shine our light.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that we can't find joy and pleasure in our later years. But I think it means that our biggest priority each morning when we wake up, Paula, isn't, well, how can I maximize my pleasure today or maximize my security? But rather it's how can I live today in a way where I somehow grew and I somehow served? And if that's our biggest priority, then we're going to find ways to shine our light and to grow throughout our precious elder years.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. And that is such a great point to realize the challenges, the successes, what we've experienced in our life really brings us to a point to knowing and having things we can share and having things we can feel.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Because it would be so easy to see it as a negative, but really, no, I've learned so much in my life, and we all have.
And there's a reason that societies throughout history have always honored elders and they've looked up to elders and their wrinkles and their gray hair and maybe their creaky joints and they've looked up to them as people who have throughout a long life gained wisdom and grown into a certain wholeness that is so important for the young people and for our whole society. They've been honored. But we're not going to be able to claim that role for ourselves unless we deal with a bunch of the internalized ageism that
Yeah.
we all have from the day that we're born almost.
Oh,
And we do the inner work, the conscious work to really let the elder in us emerge. And it's there and it wants to emerge.
oh, thank you, Ron. Thank you for your beautiful words and messages. I am so grateful. Everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you, Ron. Love, hugs, and blessings. Oh,
Thank you, Paula.